Federal judge is ordering the Trump administration to disclose the details of this weekend's deportation efforts by noon tomorrow.
Sherelle Hubbard has more on whether officials violated judge's orders by going through with those deportations.
Hands off our doctors now!
Protesters showed up to express their discontent over the deportation of Rasha Alawi, a Brown University assistant professor and doctor who was deported from Boston to Lebanon over the weekend.
She is far from the only person facing unfair and unjust deportation.
Also deported over the weekend, in spite of a restraining order, hundreds of Venezuelan migrants, many of whom the Trump administration accused of being gang members.
That was a bad group of, as I say, hombres.
On Saturday, the administration invoked the Alien Enemies Act, a rarely used 18th century wartime power to begin those deportations to an El Salvador prison. Despite that fact, the migrants were expelled. The administration is strongly defending its actions.
The judge's order was patently unlawful, beyond unlawful.
We removed terrorists. That should be a celebration.
The administration is challenging a potential legal loophole.
Well, there's actually questions about whether a verbal order carries the same weight as a legal order, as a written order.
The White House press secretary says the detainees were outside U.S. territory by the time the judge's written order was filed, though he'd issued a verbal order earlier. Monday evening, in a hearing, a judge scolded the Department of Justice for defying his order.
This is ultimately then a fundamental question of separation of powers. The president is simply thumbing his nose at Congress.
Yeah, so as you saw there, recently President Trump over the weekend was deporting 261 members of the Tren de Aragua gang to Venezuela, where they're going to be held in one of the world's most secure prisons that holds 40,000 inmates. And it is what I call lockdown state of the art. It's like 7 miles of road to get to it. You've got, I think, 7 or 8 checkpoints with armed military guards just as you're driving up. And then once you get inside, the conditions on how they restrict the inmates, it was crazy. It makes Guantanamo Bay look like a vacation, right? But here's the real root of this story. There's an Obama-appointed judge, Obama-appointed district judge that felt like he had the authority to block the president deporting these gang members who have been labeled now as domestic T words. And the reason why I don't say the word, because YouTube will zing you for it, but it rhymes with schmerrerist. This group is on that list, were rounded up and being sent back to Venezuela. Now, here's why. Allegedly, a lot of these gang members were a part or participated in a coup in Venezuela prior to the current president coming into power. And so when they fled and left that country, they probably thought they were never going to have to go back to face the music. So most, if not all of these individuals were wanted by the authorities over there, which is why they gladly welcomed them back. But here's the kicker. We got the Democrats again on the wrong side of the issue, except for this time, President Trump has got a strong team with him that is not going to fold. As a matter of fact, in this video, I'm going to show you clips of what Pam Bondi said and is doing, and the fact that she and her department responded and reached out to that judge to let him know exactly where his authority lies. And we're also going to look at videos of the left-wing lunatic libtards that are out here dying on this hill. So without further ado, let me get into some of these clips and do me a solid in the comments. What is your opinion? Do you think President Trump did the right thing when he had them on the plane and this judge makes orders for the plane to be turned around? They dropped them off. Do you agree with that? Or you say, no, you don't agree with it. You feel the president should have brought him back. I'd like your feedback. Put yes if you agree in the comments, put no if you don't. Well, let's check out Pam Bondi as she speaks with Janine on Fox News about what this left-wing radical judge did and what the DOJ is going to do to help stop it, if they even plan on stopping it. Check this clip out.
You know, the Democrats claim that the Alien Enemies Act only applies to a country. The president is trying to apply it to a foreign terrorist organization. Tell us how that works.
Well, Janine, the Alien Enemies Act applies to a situation just like this. And it's interesting. People argue that it's such an old law. I think an old law is a virtue, not a vice. Think about that. Our founding fathers knew exactly what they were doing, and it applies to a situation just like this. Tren de Aragua, they are a foreign arm of the Venezuelan government. They are organized, they have a command structure, and they have invaded our country. They are raping, they are murdering U.S. citizens, and they are coming here in mass numbers. And Donald Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act just like he should. And he has gotten rid of them a lot. There are a lot more to go. And, you know, there are 261 reasons why Americans are safer tonight, because 261 of those monsters have been taken out of our country. They're one of the most violent organizations in the world, and they had invaded America, Janine.
Well, the amazing thing about this, Attorney General, is that you've got a local district court judge now who is saying that he can stop the president from enforcing his powers under Article 2 to protect the American people. Number one, will his order, this temporary restraining order on the Alien Enemies Act, will that be, respected going forward? And where does he get this power to stop the president engaging in national security and foreign policy?
Well, that's it. He's attempting to meddle in national security and foreign affairs, and he can't do it. What he's done is an intrusion on the president's authority. This one federal judge, again, thinks he can control foreign policy for the entire country, and he cannot. And right now we're evaluating our options.
Okay, so the administration may continue doing these flights?
Absolutely. These are foreign terrorists. The president has identified them and designated them as such, and we will continue to follow the Alien Enemies Act.
If you're enjoying this content, do me a solid. Hit that like button. I'll never ask you for a cash app, and I will never ask you for a super chat. But you hitting that like button, that is currency, because it helps spread the video around. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. On the Real Politics Podcast, that's what we do. We talk real politics. And then once you subscribe, hit the notification bell and then select all. That way, you'll be notified when I upload new videos. So here's the judge. We got Judge James Boasberg, Obama-appointed judge. Now, this judge just so happens to have been a part of many unique situations in this country. This judge oversaw the case that involved the U.S. was being sued for illegally surveillancing the American citizens, you and I, and this judge oversaw that. This judge also oversaw the Ray Epps case. In case you don't know who Ray Epps is the gentleman who we now know to be an alleged FBI asset, who was on the scene on January the 6th, the night before, telling people, hey, we're going to go into the Capitol. We're going to go into the Capitol. Then the day of, he literally was at the front lines at the gate telling people to go in. He is the one who instigated this and went under the rug until Republicans and people like you that are out there that are loyal patriots kept bringing it up. And there was video. And finally, they brought him in. And you know what they gave him? Probation, even though they locked up every other person except those other other 27 FBI, what do they call them? Those aren't assets, or CIs, so to speak, that were in the crowd that went into the Capitol, didn't get arrested. Ray Epps didn't get arrested, but they decided they would give him probation. And this judge oversaw that. This judge is a Trump-hating judge, extremely biased. And how he was able to insert himself in this situation baffles the mind. It is strictly political. It makes no logic and no sense. And these left-wing libtards continue to do this and act as if they're fighting for the American people. Not one American that I know of says, yes, bring all the Tren de Aragua gang members to our community and let us love on them. And they could do that, and they would end up like Aurora, Colorado did, where they took over the apartment complex and was holding people hostage in their own homes. This is nuts that these people are fighting over this. But the federal judge who tried to block President Donald Trump's deportation efforts has a history of stonewalling Trump's immigration policies and spared one of the FBI officials behind the RUSSIAGATE hoax. The United States District Judge James Boasberg placed a 14-day restraining order on Trump's effort to rapidly deport criminal illegal aliens associated with Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang and foreign terror organization, prompting public outcry and igniting the effort to impeach this judge. Boasberg, an Obama appointee, hindered Trump's immigration enforcement efforts in 2018 with a ruling that limited the administration's ability to detain migrant families who had entered the country. Last paragraph I'll read. The judge's ruling took aim at 5 immigration and customs enforcement detainment centers, preventing them from categorically denying parole to foreign nationals and effectively instructing the administration to release a greater number of migrants into the interior of the country. The ruling undermined the administration's attempt to discourage border crossings by detaining migrants rather than by rewarding them with release into the United States. So this judge, this Obama-appointed left-wing libtard activist judge, since 2018, has been working on the side of the Democrat Party to flood America with illegal immigrants. And the reason why they don't care, because it's not in their neighborhood and their plush, beautiful, gated, secure communities. They believe that, hey, it's not going to impact them. But what these psychopaths don't realize, it is only so long before they come to your doorstep, before it is you. It's kind of like all that defund the police stuff. And then what the media don't cover, but research it, the congressmen and women who had been carjacked over the last 4 years was nuts. And the media was refusing to cover it. There's video, like the actual video, closed caption TV cameras that are in these neighborhoods showing congressmen getting beat up, getting robbed. One was out on a date with his lady. The person ran up, carjacked both of them, and left. So you don't hear defund the police anymore. I heard a guy from Black Conservative Perspective named Greg Foreman say something. The best thing you could do for Democrats is give them what they want, because then they get a chance to see just how ignorant, how stupid, and how extreme it is. It's like when the illegal immigrants were dropped off in Martha's Vineyard. Man, and I talked about that in another video. They turned that bus around so fast it wasn't even funny. So let's listen to what the border czar, Tom Homan, has to say about everything that's going on, because at the end of the day, he's boots on the ground. He's front line. And let's see how he feels about this left-wing activist judge deciding to insert himself in the situation and block and have the president return planes that had murderers, rapists, sex traffickers on it for their constitutional rights, even though they're in the country illegally. Then they complain that President Trump is using a old law and it's old and yada yada. And President Trump gave one of the best responses, or Tom Homan, gave one of the best responses, because they brought it up to him. Oh, the Aliens Act, it's old, it's no law. He said it's not older than the Constitution, and we still follow that, don't we? Man, that was awesome. Tom Homan has gotten great at his interviews too. But let's check this clip out of the border czar.
You're going to run out of money. It doesn't look like you're getting support from the Democrats on this. You're going against the judges now. What's next?
Another flight every day. The teams are going to be out there every day. Every day, the men and women of ICE are going to be in the neighborhoods of this nation, arresting criminal, illegal alien, public safety threats, and national security threats. Lawrence, you're not going to stop us. We made a promise to the American people.
Now, that previous video, they cut right when he was saying they made a promise to the American people. But as you see, Tom Homan is not backing down on this at all. And neither is President Trump. Neither is Pam Bondi. Right now, the Republicans and President Trump has got the full support of his entire cabinet right now. I'm not seeing any detractors, which is unique for the Republicans, because it should be easy to dispel the Democrats and to take serious control of the House and the Senate if we stay unified. What happens on the Republican part, we get a rhino or two in there and they tend to muck everything up, muddy the waters, and then it makes the Republican side look inefficient. Because this is the first time in my lifetime I've seen the Democrat Party so disheveled and so out of sync with each other. Because whether you agree with their policies or not, which I totally do not, they usually all speak with one voice. As of recent, we've seen that literally with using the same exact videos and the same exact expos, but they stay unified. So it makes it look like they're more efficient, even though their policies are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And the Republicans, who have the great policies, great ideas for Americans, look disheveled and look unorganized and look untrustworthy. And so luckily we stay unified, with the exception of the Rhino Massey. And I'm going to be fair to Massey. He's been consistent voting against these budgets prior to Trump. So I do believe he's a great American. But on that day, he could have cost us big. He could have cost us big. But right now, with the Republicans being unified, speaking with one voice, it gives the American people the confidence that, hey, these folks can get it done. So let's listen to what the president has to say.
Did the administration, actually, speaking of orders, violate Judge Boasberg's order in sending back the Venezuelan gang members and not bringing them back?
I don't know. You have to speak to the lawyers.
Are you planning to do more deportations?
I can tell you this: these were bad people. That was a bad group of, as I say, operators. That was a bad group. When you look at them and you look at the crimes that they've committed, you take a look. You don't get any tougher. You don't get worse than that. You understand that. So, but you'd have to ask the lawyers, yeah.
Sir, there's been some criticism that the Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked 3 other times. They were all during times of war. Do you feel that you're using it appropriately right now?
Well, this is a time of war because Biden allowed millions of people, many of them criminals, many of them at the highest level. They emptied jails out. Other nations emptied their jails into the United States. That's an invasion. And these are criminals, many, many criminals, murderers, drug dealers at the highest level, drug lords, people from mental institutions. That's an invasion. They invaded our country. So this isn't, in that sense, this is war. In many respects, it's more dangerous than war because, you know, in war, they have uniforms. You know who you're shooting at. You know who you're going after. These are people that came out, they're walking our streets. We have thousands of murderers.
And he's right. And what's sad is that with as common as President Trump just put that, in as layman terms as he possibly could, that lamestream media is going to take that message and is going to go out there and somehow spin it to something negative. And I believe that a lot of people are so shocked by how effective and efficient he is that they're literally picking at, first it was eggs, then it was the economy wasn't fixed on day one. And now that we're seeing all of those things going downward, the left-wing media is actually losing its mind because the things that they have to be anti-Trump on are actually pro-American things. So it makes them look anti-American, like rooting for the fact that you wanted those planes brought back, or the most recent story where allegedly a professor was removed from the country and they say, oh, there was a mistake, but then come to find out he or she was attending funerals of the Shmerist organization Hezbollah, you know, and supporting this Palestinian movement on a whole nother level. And this is a professor at an American institution. So by all means, get him out. Get him out. We can't take any chances. Like he said, in war, at least they have on, you know, uniforms. Right now, you could be standing right next to the person and have no idea. So, hey, I'm all for it. President Trump, keep doing what you do. They say the planes are going to keep going out, and I hope they do. But if you've been watching this video with me up to this point, I really do appreciate you. And like always, if you haven't already liked the video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm Brian Maxwell, and I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.